Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, the Trump administration has basically filed documents in support of a lawsuit against Harvard University. Students for Fair Admissions have filed a lawsuit against Harvard University challenging Harvard University's affirmative action program. They're saying that it discriminates against Asians. And now you have this Trump administration co-signing this lawsuit. The Trump administration saying that they're about protecting civil rights. They're saying that no one should be denied admissions because of their race. They're saying that the university, as a recipient of federal funds, cannot discriminate against people in admissions. And all that language sounds good about not discriminating against people and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, affirmative action is not about discriminating against anyone. It's about opening doors of opportunity to African Americans and other minority groups. It's about diversity, promoting diversity on these different university campuses. That's what it's about. And basically what you have here is a Trump administration co-signing a lawsuit that at the end of the day will reduce the opportunities and limit the opportunities of African Americans to get a higher education. What they're using, or what they're doing, is essentially they're using this as a Trojan horse. Many people will say, that's Harvard University, that's some elite university, that doesn't have anything to do with me. It starts with Harvard, and then it goes down to all the other different schools in this country. It eventually will get to state schools and other types of schools that are less competitive than Harvard. This is a test case, and they are basically using this as an opportunity to wipe out affirmative action, a program that benefits black people, black students. So, this is something that we need to be aware of, and we should not be surprised by this at all. We shouldn't be surprised because the Trump administration already announced that they were getting rid of or rescinding, the Obama-era guidelines that encourage universities to consider race as one of many factors. They also talked about how they were going to conduct an investigation of Harvard University's affirmative action policy. So no one should be surprised here about this decision to co-sign this lawsuit against Harvard University. And this is yet another reminder of just how important elections are. But before I get to that, I just need to fully explain that affirmative action is not discrimination. They use all this anti-discrimination language to basically undermine civil rights. Affirmative action, as it's set up today, number one, is not a quota. There's no set number of African Americans that these universities are trying to guarantee slots for. So that's one thing. It's not a quota. Quotas were declared illegal a long time ago. Race is one of many factors considered in admissions under these affirmative action. It is a factor of a factor. So it is not the dominant factor in the decision-making process at all. It's not a situation where someone gets admitted to a university solely because they're black or solely because they're Latino or solely because they're a woman. They consider many factors. And basically, by eliminating affirmative action, you're going to have less diverse colleges. You're going to have less African Americans enrolled. And in fact, even though it's Asians bringing this lawsuit, Asians are going to be harmed if, these plaintiffs have their way. If they have their way, there will be less Asians at these universities. As was the case in California. Once they got rid of affirmative action, for the most part, in most of the universities, the numbers of Asians enrolled in those universities went down. And that's the same that will happen if these right-wing groups have their way. This group, Students for Fair Admissions, is not an Asian group. It's a white organization that has brought several lawsuits trying to get rid of affirmative action. And they are simply using Asians as a pawn to eliminate affirmative action. And also, this article I think it's from the New York Times. I'll post a link in the description box. It also points out how there's a division among Asian groups, how it's primarily Chinese Americans who are against this affirmative action. This article also talked about how misinformation is being used to encourage Asians to oppose affirmative action, basically suggesting that under affirmative action, less Asians are admitted to different colleges and universities, which is false. So yeah, I'm going to keep my eye on this development. Again, the last point that I'll make is this, elections matter, man. You have these imbeciles here on YouTube, these talking heads that have large audiences, these fake pro-black buffoons who want to tell you and me that elections don't matter. And this is a prime example of how elections matter. When Obama was in the White House, his administration fought to protect affirmative action. They had guidelines in place encouraging universities to have affirmative action programs. They actually went to court to fight to protect affirmative action. But here you have a Trump administration who is doing everything in their power to fight affirmative action. They co-signed this lawsuit. They called for the Justice Department to basically be used as a weapon against affirmative action, to conduct an investigation of Harvard's administration, admission process. And also they have, rescinded Obama-era policies supporting affirmative action. So these elections have very real consequences. And it's time for us to wake up and get involved, man. And voting is not the end-all, be-all, but it's an important step. It's an important way to make a difference. Every single election counts, so don't let these people fool you and say that, your vote doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes I literally wonder if some of these people are being paid by the Trump administration on the low to promote this voter apathy in our community, to essentially suppress the black vote. So get out there, register to vote, and vote in this election, man. And we need to pay attention to everything that this Trump administration is doing. I talk about lighthearted subjects from time to time on this channel, things dealing with relationships or celebrities every now and then. But I think that too often, many of us are more fixated on these trending topics, on these celebrities, on celebrity BS and gossip, than we are about issues that actually impact our lives. A video like this won't receive as many views as some video about somebody swirling or something like that. I mean, why is that? Why are we fixated on nonsense, man, instead of fixated on things that really matter and make a difference in our lives? I mean, this policy that this Trump administration is trying to fight against is a policy that will affect the opportunities of our children, man. So anyway, tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.